Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So we are welcome to the fifth of six webinars for put on the Boston Private Industry Council for students that are participating in our Tech Apprentice program or youth interested in technology from a variety of our partners in Boston and just outside Boston. My name is Bruce Stephen. I work for the Boston Private Industry Council and I do run our Tech Apprentice program. We have a packed agenda today. We're going to tackle the topic of different options for training and education after high school. We're going to be hearing from a number of different organizations that'll be telling you about their programs. We have representatives from Scholas, Resilient Coders, Bunker Hill Community College, and Hack Diversity. And time for questions, and then we're going to move to a panel of alumni from those organizations talking about their experiences going through the program and also in most cases how they've obtained employment through those programs. As a kickoff, I wanted to set some context on the training and education program landscape in Boston, which is quite comprehensive, quite diverse. The reason there are so many options are based on a number of things, including the fact that Boston is a tech hub. As you know, there's a tremendous number of tech companies here and also organizations that have tech departments. It's also a major center for nonprofit organizations. So there's a big ecosystem here, and that comes into play because it allows organizations focused on tech, especially nonprofits, to gain partnerships and to gain funding in some cases. One of the other main reasons that there is a proliferation of training and ed options is that there have been talent shortages. This may be shifting a bit because of COVID, but there are talent shortages, especially as we look at growth IT occupations like software development, cybersecurity, IT support, and roles like business analyst. In some cases, companies have also started to shift their hiring practices away from focus on necessarily college degrees and more based on skill-based hiring. In other words, what is the experience and the skills of the candidates as opposed to they have a college degree or not. Of late, there's much more of a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and this is generating more interest and more need to have hiring organizations bring in and reach underrepresented communities. And I think there's also kind of a hub and pack mentality too, where we keep seeing new programs appearing in Boston. Of late, we've had national organizations like Apprenti. We have Ethan Kinvard from Apprenti, who's going to be moderating today, by the way. And also a national organization like Scholas. And then we have organic initiatives that pop up like G Code House, which is one of the newer initiatives that's very interesting program that combines learning and a living situation for young women of color. So just to give you an idea of what's out there, this is a look at a number of different types of programs in Boston. Starting with the left, there are quite a few that fall into the boot camp category. These tend to be intensive 12-week, 20-week programs that are project-based, can include involvement from employers. Many of these focus on software or web development. Most of the ones you see at the top here, like Resilient Coders and Code Squad and G Code and Masimbo, are nonprofit programs, but there is also a group of for-profit companies, probably most prominently in Boston General Assembly, which is quite active in operating boot camps for a variety of tech roles, from like data science to software development to digital marketing. From there, we go to other, probably more, we might call more intensive programs that involve an apprenticeship or an internal staffing or an internship model. So we have companies in this category like Apprenti, and Hack Diversity, which is, we'll be hearing from Hack Diversity today, and some others like Cyber Warrior Academy. These tend to have at the end of them, as I mentioned, an employment or a apprenticeship component. We also have a number of bridge programs. Probably most prominently in this group is Year Up. You may have heard of them. They're a year-long program for young people between the ages of like 17 and 25 or 26. Students gain some IT skills, they gain work readiness skills, and they also work directly with employers. After that program is over, they often jump to either going to college or might be involved in one of these other boot camps or apprenticeship programs. There's also a new program called Digital Ready Year 13. This is connected to Wentworth locally and is designed for recent graduates of BPS high schools and exposes them to a variety of technologies and gets them prepared if they choose to move on to Wentworth. There's also a rich group of certification programs. These are programs that document a learned skill set. We have Mark from Scholas on our panel today, so we'll be hearing more about that. But there are others like PyTap, which focus just on Salesforce and certifying there. And some other programs are embedded within larger nonprofits. So like Just to Start in Cambridge does certifications in IT support. On the whole, these do largely focus on IT support. And then kind of at the beginning, for people that are just getting started in tech, they're what we call digital starter programs like Tech Goes Home, which is going to be teaching individuals and adults about basic tech skills, and they may move from, say, a digital starter program if they're tech interested and have some tech skills into one of the boot camps or one of the other certification programs. We also have a rich set of tech education opportunities in the Boston area. So what you see represented here are a group of public community colleges, and then UMass and UMass Online. Bunker Hill, we'll be hearing from Bunker Hill a little bit later, has quite a diversity of either associate's degree programs or certification programs in areas ranging from mobile application development to gaming to health IT to web development. Roxbury Community College has not quite that breadth of offering, but still has some good programs in things like web technologies and information systems. UMass Boston, you're looking more at full degree programs in engineering and computer science with a sprinkling of certification programs. And UMass Online, which has been expanding of late, has quite a number of certification programs, again, across the spectrum of different IT roles and areas in different software development, web design, homeland security, and digital marketing. And finally, just want to mention the Ben Franklin Institute of Technology, which is a private but affordable urban college. And they also have an emphasis on tech in areas like electrical engineering, health IT, and CAD. So quite a few choices for you to consider if you are coming out of high school or will be soon coming out of high school. That gives you a little bit of a flavor of the landscape. And at this point, I would like to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Ethan from Apprenti, who will be moderating the duration of the webinar.
Thanks a lot, Bruce. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I suppose it is afternoon. So I'm Ethan. I'm the program manager here in the state of Massachusetts for Apprenti. As Bruce said, we are one of many organizations doing work in the tech space, and Apprenti specifically operates apprenticeships for jobs in IT across the country. So we're in 14 states at the moment, including Massachusetts. We've got over 1,000 apprentices working in roles from software development to business analytics to cybersecurity in companies like Amazon, Microsoft. Locally in Massachusetts, we have folks at Wayfair, we have folks at Harvard University IT, many partners. And so we do a little bit of everything in our apprenticeship program, including technical training to get those skills that you need upfront, and then 1 year of paid on-the-job training to really develop those skills under the mentorship of a fully qualified software developer or business analyst or what have you. But that's enough about me. I'm here to introduce you to some other really fantastic panelists who represent a lot of other organizations, as you've heard. So while we can't be in person, I'm really happy to at least introduce these people kind of over the virtual table, if you will. So we'll just kind of go around in a circle as it's listed here. So if Mark, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Good day. Thank you, Bruce and Ethan, for hosting. Again, my name is Mark McCurdy, Senior Manager of Career Solutions at Scholas here in Boston. You know, my role there is to really partner up with our tech teachers and provide additional support around, you know, ultimately making some sort of transition and or re-entering the tech space. So we have folks that are, you know, from 18 years old all the way up to you know, 50 plus. So that's just a little bit about me, but for Scholas as a whole, we've been around over 20 years, and we're in about 16 different states throughout the country, and you know, excited to be here and involved in the conversation today.
Great, thanks, Mark. Pass it over to Rugi. Rugi, if you want to introduce yourself briefly.
Hi everyone, I'm Rugi Diallo. I work with Resilient Coders. I'm the Chief of Staff there, which means a lot of different things, but mostly it means that I am working on scaling our fundraising and our operations. I'm looking forward to sharing with everyone on the panel and also hearing all your questions. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Great. Stephanie, would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Absolutely. So I'm Stephanie Bruskowski. I'm the Director of Internships and Career Development at Bunker Hill Community College. I am the person that you would be working with me in my area to kind of finish out your time at Bunker Hill. If you are going through an associate's degree program, we have a number of different opportunities and different areas that we actually do internships in. One of the areas that we focused or have focused on in the past year is actually IT and computer support. So I'm happy to be here to talk with you guys about the different opportunities that Bunker Hill has, not just for our programs, but we also have a number of paid internships. We work really closely with Tech Diversity, and we actually had one of the largest groups of students in their cohort this year. So you know, we're very passionate about diversifying the IT field, and we're very happy to be here and be able to talk to you today.
Great. And then finally, Tori, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Tori Goyette, and I'm the Senior Community Manager for Hack Diversity. As Stephanie said, great partners in the Boston area with local schools. We specifically focus on helping to increase representation for Black and Latinx folks looking to get into the tech industry. So unlike some of the programs that were mentioned before, we are not a boot camp. We don't specialize in training, but our real kind of primary focus is helping folks to get connected to the tech ecosystem in Boston. So coming to know the companies in Boston, what they're like, what their values are, how they're working to create a more inclusive Boston. That's a major part of our fellowship program. And then me personally have been with Hack for just under a year now, and prior to that was working at Year Up for about 5 years. So very passionate about working within these types of programs to provide tech opportunities to a lot of young talent.
Great. Thanks a lot, Tori. So I think we can have everybody just dive a little bit more into kind of the impact of their organization. So we'll start with Mark, and if you want to speak a little bit to for Scholas and the impact that you have, and we'll go through some slides. Not everybody has slides to go through, but we'll just kind of go around in that same order and have each one of you again speak to kind of the impact and the intent of your organization.
Awesome. Thanks again. Again, Mark McCurdy with Scholas. Yeah, as you can see from this slide right here, we talk about 85% of our Scholas students graduate, and 80% of those graduate and land jobs. So that's certainly something to be said. With an average hourly rate of $21 an hour. And our focus, as was talked about a little bit before, but really generally is looking at, underrepresented communities, with whichever state that we're in. As I said, we're in about 14 other states around the country, but, particularly here in Boston, again, looking at some of those underrepresented communities, and that historically haven't had access to, the technical careers. And so definitely something we're very excited about, and, really fortunate to be involved, in part of the tech ecosystem, here in the area. So I think we can float to the next slide there. And so again, just a little bit about, what we look for, or to meet some of our enrollment requirements. Again, we look for young adults 18 or older. Not ideally, but usually folks that are underemployed or underemployed. We look for folks that do have a high school diploma or equivalent, and then would be available from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Up until March, we were running all of our classes in person at these, different locations throughout the country. But then as of, mid-March, we've taken all of our training online. So we're 100% doing training online right now for the foreseeable future. And, we'll move as the industry moves as well. So that's been very interesting, and to be part of an organization that's be able to pivot like that has, been great to be part of. We do look for many of our classes, not all, but many of our classes, we do look for folks to pass the TABE at the appropriate level, and that our continuous students that we're enrolling would be U.S. citizens or authorized to work in the U.S., because our ultimate goal is to get you into a paid role post-graduation. So that would be obviously important that you're able to have the work authorization to do as such. We can float to that next tip. So the TABE question came up there. That's basically an assessment of your English and math skills specifically. Those are the two we focus on, knowing that, no matter what class you're involved in, here in Boston, so far the tracks that we've had are full stack Java, network, what we call network, which is part of certification for generally help desk and desktop roles. So we help then our students to get certified in what's called CompTIA, which is recognized throughout the world, but 2 certifications in A+ and Network Plus. We actually just launched, excited to be part of the AWS Restart program. So we just launched that here just recently. We'll be graduating our first class actually this month, mid-month. So that's just a little bit about the tab. And then speaking of which, AWS, that is our next class that we'll be running here in Boston come September 14th. And again, just some ideas of some of the positions that graduating the class that those might be able to look at depending on their experience would be a site reliability engineer, a junior DevOps, or cloud support specialist. And again, that's just specific to the AWS. So those are the 3 programs that we've run so far in Boston. I will say, as an organization, we have about 12 different training tracks that have included cybersecurity and software engineering. That should be one that's launching software engineering, if not later this year, early next, for us here in Boston as well. Gives you a little bit of different flavor as to Scholas. And I think I have one more slide here, which generally then talks a little bit about our admission process. So on our website, that there is a application that you can fill out, that you'd attend an info session, which again, those info sessions are taking place online right now. as I talked about before, that you would then complete a TABE exam. And that's probably for about 80% of our classes is that we'd look to have that tab completed. And that last but not least, you'd complete a virtual interview. So that's just a little about us and how the process works. But again, I guess the one little quick story I'd say is, we had a graduate who, talked about himself saying, generally wasn't too fond of school when in school, and ultimately got his GED, but had graduated our program, which is a rigorous one. We talked about 9 to 5:30, and meaning if you're late more than 3 times, then likely we're going to ask you to depart that particular class and maybe re-engage with us for the next class, or maybe one up and coming. But we do run a rigorous kind of guidelines, around being in attendance, being with us, whether that's online or in person. But again, coming back to the example of this individual I spoke about, he graduated a program and was really thrilled. He's like, I haven't really graduated anything in my life. So it was really special for me to graduate this program. And he already had a job before graduation. And so he's able to roll into a Fortune 100 company here in the Boston area and roll into an IT job. So that's what I'm here for, is to help individuals, ultimately land into a job that they can feel really good about, and know that there's growth, and that there's a lot of potential. So again, that's just a little about us. And again, really appreciate you listening in, and more to come.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mark. Really quickly before we move on, if you can just in kind of 30 seconds, you talked about this student who you were able to get through this really rigorous program that you offer. What's the special sauce there? Like what allowed you as an organization to get this person through this program, and allowed that person to get through the program? What kind of structural supports do you have, or what's kind of the secret behind the success?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably not just one ingredient of a secret sauce. I think it's really a combination of. But I will say, our classes, what we refer to often as cohorts, become very tight, and they become friends and really family. And I'd say that in itself is, I think, part of the secret sauce, and that. Students have and staff, right? Life happens, and hard times happen. But as a whole, staff and students are there to help each other, and I think that's really special and great to see. And I've said this consistently, through each class and cohort that I've seen go through. But students have helped other students get jobs, and I've seen that with every class so far that has graduated. And I think that's part of the special sauce. But also, right, that we are a national organization, that we have relationships with some major companies, throughout the country. I think that is really helpful, so that we can help open doors. But ultimately, you showing up and doing the work, says a whole heck of a lot, and you graduating with us says a whole heck of a lot, and that it really means something to be part of our community. So that's how I'd answer that for you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mark. All right, we are going to move on to our next panelist, which is Rugi. So Rugi, same kind of, I guess, overarching question as Mark answered. If you could kind of go through your program. I think we've got some slides up that Bruce will present. We'd really appreciate hearing from you.
Actually, Rugi, do you have slides you want to share?
Yeah, I can share them. That sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you. I will stop my sharing, let you pop in. Perfect.
Great. Let's see. Let me try to put this in a bigger screen. Okay. Can everyone see the slides?
Yep, looks great.
Awesome, great. So hi everyone. So as I said, my name is Rudy Diallo. I work with Resilient Coders. Resilient Coders, just a quick overview. It's a bootcamp program that is focused on racial equity. And if I had to kind of give a one sentence summary of what we do is we really focus on building economic resiliency in Black and Brown communities by providing access to software engineering opportunities through training, placement, and support for young adults of color. So we are a program that was started in Boston. We focus on the greater Boston area. We're very local, and our goal is to make our communities of color more resilient to the changes in the economy. And so how do we do that? And also why resilient coders? So there are a few things. One of them is what we focus on is access to automation resilient careers. And so for us right now, it's been software engineering because it's a career that offers a high paying salary, that offers a great advancement opportunities. It's a automation resilient job. That means that job is not going to disappear, at least not for now. And it's a job. These are skills that you can learn without having to go to college. So for us, when we see that a lot of Black and Latinx young adults have limited access to college and lower completion rates, and even when they do complete college, have lower access to employment and continue having that racial wealth gap. For us, it's important to create an alternative pipeline for accessing those careers. So it's about the bootcamp, but it's mostly about placing people in those careers through this alternative route. Last year, 88% of our graduates found jobs as software engineers. And the average salary was about $98,000. So these are people who don't necessarily have a degree. Actually, most of them don't have a degree, came with us, worked for 20 weeks, and went from a job where they might have, a job that might be automated, right, to finding a job that has a real advancement opportunities and is a job of the future. So that's the first thing. Another point is that we'll always be free. By that we mean two things. One of them is that obviously our program is free. We're a nonprofit organization. And also we provide a stipend. So that means that you don't have to choose between your education and having a job. So so that's why we provide a stipend. And then the other thing is that we will never ask you for money. Some for-profit programs will ask you to give money back after you find a job or something like that. And for us, it's no. We're really working to make sure that the communities we serve are able to slowly close that racial wealth gap that we're also aware of. The third thing is that we have an inclusive pedagogy. So we don't test at any point during our program. We don't test for recruitment. We don't test during the program. We don't test for you to be able to graduate the program. The way we look at progress is through, it's all project-based. And if you're able to, submit your project on time in a satisfactory manner, and you're able to do a tech interview, then you will be able to complete. That's how you graduate and are able to complete the program. The last thing that I want to say, which is actually one of the most important points as to why Resilient Coders, is that the community has your back. So we are a staff of 6, but more importantly, we have a really big alumni community that is extremely involved in your learning. So when you enter Resilient Coders, you enter our Slack community. We have community hours every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we have a group of alums and a group of mentors who are there from the beginning till the end. We tell our graduates, you don't have to pay us back with money, but pay us back in sweat, and they do. You will see alumni working shoulder to shoulder with the new students to make sure that they understand the material, they're able to submit their projects. So that is a very important part of our community, and it's also been great for, as an organization, once you're part of the alumni community, you continue to be involved in Reasoning Coders almost on a daily basis. So that's like kind of a big overview of why Reasoning Coders. So more about our program. We are a 20-week program of high intensity training. So the hours are from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. So that's the class hours, but you have a lot of homework and a lot of material and a lot of projects to go through. So a lot of people start earlier or finish later and spend a lot of time with Reasoning Coders, with our mentors, with our staff, and with our alumni. As I mentioned, we have a stipend, so it's $500 every 2 weeks. And finally, right now we're currently remote, like everyone, because of COVID-19. We're probably going to be remote till the end of the year. If and when we can go back to the office, you are in person and you have 24-hour access to a co-working space. So we usually are in the CIC in Cambridge, which is a co-working space with a bunch of tech companies. You're able to network with people there, but also you have a classroom, you have, especially after hours, you have access to different meeting rooms, you have access to a kitchen, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just also a great community space, and you'll see alumni who will usually come and help you out there as well. So about our recruitment process. So there are kind of 3 steps to it. The first one is we have an eligibility form that everyone who's interested in joining the program can fill out. Usually that's just to make sure that you're within the criteria for Reasoning Coders. So just quickly, we're working with low-income people. So the way we define that is we look at your household income and make sure that it is below 80% of the area median income in the greater Boston area. We work only with Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We work with people between the ages of 18 and 30 years old. And we prioritize people without degrees. So if you have a degree, that does not preclude you from joining the program, but we really focus on building an alternative pathway for those who decide, you know, college is not for me, I can't afford it, or this is not my best style of learning, so I want to try something else, or I've tried college and it didn't work out for me. We don't intend to replace college. I think this is something that works really well for a lot of people, but it's just offering another path for people who can't necessarily go through college. So that's the first part. We will select people, look at people based on this criteria. If you fit within those criteria, you will be invited to a hackathon. A hackathon is a whole day event from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. And basically the goal is for us to explain to you what our program is about, but also for you to get introduced to what software engineering is about, and for us to see how that might be a good fit. So we do that by, the first part of the day is usually focused on, we talk about, you know, automation, what is the impact that it's going to have on communities of color. And we kind of think of ideas of things that software that we can build that would help our communities. And then you're put into groups of 4 to 6 people where you're able to go through the whole process of building software. So with your group, you will choose an idea, and then you will kind of design what is your persona or profile of customer look like. And then you're going to build on paper, what does your app going to look like, or website. And then at the end, we're going to give you a quick HTML and CSS lesson, and then you're able to start working on building your website. We don't test you at all on this project. We're not supposed to be building something amazing. The whole point is to see how well you're working in groups. We don't, for us, it's not about software engineers that are, in their corner working by themselves. It's really, we're looking for people who are community focused. How well do you like the material? Do you even like it? You might come to the hackathon and decide that, you know what, I don't really like software engineering, it's not for me. And then also we do one-on-one interviews during that time, just 5 minutes to understand, why do you want to do this? What is the thing that's going to make you push through the end, because it's a very hard program. So based on the hackathon, we're going to select a few more people, and then the last step of the process is the phone interview that you will have with the main instructor, and that's just to continue exploring your reasons for wanting to be part of Resilient Coders, and to kind of start thinking about building the cohort. And then from there is just, we select the final cohort, which is about 30 students per cohort. And you will be asked to just submit your, enrollment papers, and that's it. So that's the recruitment process. And yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm leaving a few links here if you want to find out more. I can also put them in the chat. The first one is a document that kind of reviews in more detail what it means to be a student at Resilient Coders, all the way from applying all the way to the end of the program. So what you should expect as a student of Resilient Coders. There's our website up there. And then finally, there's the email that you can send an email if you have any questions about what enrolling into the program looks like. And so you can reach out to recruiting@resilientcoders.org. So I'll put those links in the chat, and I'm looking forward to hearing your questions.
Great, thanks so much, Rugi. So I want to make sure that we move through the rest of our panelists, and we have time to hear from some alumni of all of these programs. So we're going to move on to Stephanie. So Stephanie, if you don't mind kind of walking us through life at Bunker Hill Community College, and walk us through your slides. We'd really appreciate hearing from you.
Absolutely. So Bunker Hill is definitely very different from the programs that you guys just heard about. We do give out a number of different degrees. So in IT specifically, or computer science, we have over 60 different programs that you would be able to do. Anywhere ranging from computer support specialist to even just general computer science or Android and mobile apps. So we have a number of different programs that you would be eligible for. So right here on the slide is actually what our student population looked like in the fall of 2019. We clearly don't have fall 2020 yet because it hasn't happened, but we have a very diverse student population. So a good portion of our students are part-time, which is less than 12 credits. So that can be up to 10 or 11 credits, which is normally about 3 or 4 courses. And then we also have a fairly split pretty evenly between gender. Our age is much different than most other four-year colleges, where our average age is actually 26. So we are not your traditional age student that's 18, 19. We are on the higher side, which is great when it comes to being in the classroom, because you actually get a lot of different experiences and a different understanding of everybody that you're in class with, because you might be in class with somebody who is maybe 15, 16 because they're a dual enrollment student and they're still in high school, or you might be in a class with somebody who's 50 or 60 and going through a transition in what they're doing for work, which is great. We are very split too for race and ethnicity. So we're a very diverse population, not just among our students, but also among our faculty and our staff, which is great. We do have a lot of different programs. So if you actually look at the academic programs, we have about 5,000 students that are Associates of Arts. So Associates of Arts, those degrees are more for students who are going to be transferring to a four-year college. So a lot of them, or about 90% of them, actually have a direct pathway to either a state university, or one of the UMass systems, or even a number of private colleges that we have direct relations with. Then the Associates of Science and the certificate programs are more of those programs that are just getting a credential and then going into the workforce. So we have a fire science program that we work with. We also have a number of different Associates of Science and certificate programs through our IT department. So cybersecurity is one of our bigger and up and coming programs that has actually grown over the last few years, and is a certificate program that will take you 2 years to finish, and then you have your certificate and you're able to get into the job system from there. We also have non-degree programs, which are also basically boot camps. And so you are able to work with our workforce development department and take these boot camp classes these boot camp classes that are very similar to what the nonprofit organizations that talked about what they do before me. So if you are looking to go and use and do SQL and Oracle or things like that, we have specialized courses that are really to professionally develop you through our workforce development department. So we have a little bit kind of everything, and we can go to the next slide now because that's just a little bit about Bunker Hill. And so part of Bunker Hill is not just the degrees, but we have our career and internship department, which works with students who are in those Associates of Science degrees and those certificate degrees to actually get paid internships. What we realized is that a number of students are not able to do unpaid internships. I was one of those students. I could not do an unpaid internship because I was paying for school. I was paying for my books. You know, I had to pay to live. And so doing an internship that, you know, is on top of your coursework, and when you're working 2 or 3 different jobs, it makes it very hard for you to get that field experience. And that experience is worth so much when it comes to applying for jobs and really networking. So we realized that clearly something was lacking and that we needed to do something. So we partnered with a bunch of corporate organizations and we started our Learn and Earn program. So what our Learn and Earn program is a program that students can work with my department, and then I have 5 staff members that will review resumes, they will do mock interviews with you, and then they will connect you and help you apply for these internships with our partners. The partners that we work with are specifically our Learn and Earn partners because they meet 3 different pillars. They have somebody there on their campus or their area that will mentor any of our students that are going there. They get paid a fair wage, so they get paid a minimum of $18 an hour. So our $18 an hour is really depending on what your field you're going into. If you're going into the IT field, it's going to be more towards that $20, $30, $35 an hour for an internship.